I was driving my step-side pickup. There was an accident up here, and I'd stopped behind it. And a bunch of teenagers didn't see what was going on. They ran right in the back of my truck, and my head went back like that. The next day, I was dropping things and forgetting why I'd walked from one room to the other. Couldn't remember what I was doing. And, you know, within about 3 weeks, I was Looney Tunes. I didn't, you know, I'd go in there and I'd say, whose clothes are these in the closet? And my wife would say, well, those are your clothes. But after getting hit 4 more times, I've learned I can't be who I used to be. Yeah.
That looks like you.
Well, there's a lady with me drawing her. And this is me now, I guess. But I drew this in '82. Yeah. So I want to try to start doing this again, but
Are you okay where you're at?
so far I'm not doing any. I did auto body and paint for 35 years. I just got to where I couldn't do that anymore. You know, I still wonder, is this it? What am I gonna do? Am I gonna be here the rest of my life? So I'm thinking about maybe going to Voc Rehab or something. See if they can put me to work. But I'd rather be out there painting cars, building hot rods.
I had a brain aneurysm in 2002. I just can't stop laughing since then, so that's okay. I lived in the park for a month before I moved here. And I just got out of prison doing 14 years, 7 months, so this was 7th heaven when I moved here.
When I was thinking about moving in here, I sat out here, right here, and talked to Billy
Yeah.
for about an
Talked
hour.
him into moving.
And we sat here and smoked cigarettes and drank Pepsis. And he's the one that convinced me that this would be a good place for me to move into.
We're the only program in the state of Oregon that serves low-income survivors of brain injury in independent apartments. And a traumatic brain injury would be an insult to the brain from a physical force, like a car accident, a fall, being struck, gunshot wound. It results in cognitive deficits that impact daily life. They live in their own apartments. We're on site to provide support and training for them. They pay 30% of their income for their rent and utilities. The average stay is about 2 years. We do have some people who've been in our program for 20 years. They make their own decisions on pretty much everything in their lives. So we take them to the grocery store and we can teach them how to grocery shop, but they make the decisions on what they want to eat, where a lot of them had been living in foster homes and nursing homes where all those choices were made for them. There's lots of people with mental health diagnoses that need housing. There are 1.5 million new cases of acquired brain injury each year in the US, with 3,000 new cases yearly in Oregon alone. We used to have a very healthy waiting list. We always had people that we could move in pretty quickly after the apartments were vacated. But in the last year or so, it's become more difficult for people to get services. And our local rehab unit was great and always, always had applications on hand, made lots of referrals to us. They cut back from 2 to 1 social worker. The one who they made cuts in the social work department. She made tons of referrals. I was hearing from her a lot. But I don't hear as much from the other one. People who are living out in the community who have brain injuries, it's really hard for them to sort of jump through all the hoops to get the state of Oregon to provide services or pay for services for them. The problem with our waiting list for the most part is that people don't know about Uhlhorn existing. Uhlhorn is considered transitional housing. The intention is to help people gain independent living skills and move on to more permanent housing, hopefully out into the community. Some people need kind of an in-between step, less less supervision than we have here, but they're not quite ready to be completely independent. And that's one of the reasons why River Court was built, was for people who, you know, could do with medications a couple of times a day, meeting once a week, help with paying their bills, but they don't need this much 24-hour staffing.
In this place here, I've only been in it about 7, but I had to move to they have another place down in Eugene, and I had to live in it for about 1.5 years or 2. I graduated when I was 18 years old in high school and got married, and then it was about 3 months later that I had the car wreck, and then it was about 2.5 weeks later I started having the epilepsy. And I was disabled in a hospital for near 2.5 years from a head injury. It took my head, about half of my head, completely off. This picture is my daughter. I hardly ever see her anymore. I got married when I was 18 years old, and my wife divorced me because of my epilepsy and the alcohol that I was on, unfortunately. But she's about, I think about 3 or 4 in here, but she's already married and had a kid. That's about the only picture I have of her. I had to go into quite a few places to find this place. I've been in 5 other rest homes. For me, though, I stayed in the Eugene Mission for near 7.5 years. But they had to kick me out of the place because I had too many seizures. But when I was in the mission, I'd even have a drink or something. I was still being stupid. And here, I haven't had one single drink since I've been in this program. I like the people here and the staff. I mean, they're good people. If people would just give out a hand and help more. Get some people down here or something, or get some people in the office or something. I can tell them about it. Let's get together and talk about it to where you can free yourself up a little more. Don't be so freaking ashamed.
I'd say what we need here more than anything else is to be more social with people outside of here, just regular people, just get more social, you know. That's probably what we need.